Hi, boys and girls. It is Friday or Monday, depending on what day you're watching this video. But it is our last day for reading The Magic Treehouse number 29, A Big Day for Baseball. If you are following along at home, I know Reagan is. I got the most adorable picture of Reagan following along with her book. She was excited she had this one at home because this is more of a rare book because it's not always a part of the box sets because it's a newer one. So if you are following along at home like Reagan, you need to turn to page 63, which is where chapter 9 begins. And chapter 9 is called The Oldest Fan of All. Okay. After he heard the final score, Jack smiled. Okay, now we know why this is such a big day for baseball. Yup, said Annie, and now it's time to give fly ball away. She pointed at the twins. Of course, he said. He turned to Otis and Olive. We have a special gift for you. He took the ball from his bag and held it out to the twins. No thanks, said Olive. You keep it. You deserve it more. We have lots of baseballs, said Otis. You do? Said Annie. Sure. We grab them when they fly over the wall of the ballpark, said Otis. They're all in here, said Olive. Come look, we'll show you. Jack and Annie followed the twins into the shadowy room off the hallway. The room smelled of roses and lavender. Otis switched on a lamp. A really old woman sat in a rocking chair. She seemed to be sleeping. See? There, whispered Olive. She pointed to a basket filled with baseballs. We keep them here in Granny Beck's room. We know they'll be safe with her, said Otis. Oh, said Jack. He and Annie glanced at the sleeping woman. She's our great-great-granny, whispered Olive. She's 101 years old, whispered Otis. She was born a slave. Do I hear some little children talking about me? The ancient-looking woman asked. She opened her eyes and smiled. Yes, Granny Beck, said Otis. Sorry we woke you. I was just resting my eyes, sweetheart, she said. Who's that with you? Our friends Jack and Annie, said Olive. They were bat boys at the Dodgers game today. Come closer, children, said great-great-grandmother. Jack and Annie moved closer to her rocker. Did you see Jackie Robinson today? She asked in a whispery voice. Yes, ma'am, said Annie. Did the crowd cheer for him? She said. Yes, ma'am, said Jack. All of them? She asked. Jack felt he couldn't lie to her. No, ma'am, a few people didn't, he said. They yelled mean things. I'm sorry to hear that, she said. What did Jackie do? He ignored them, said Jack. He held his head high, said Annie, and he walked back to the dugout without saying a word. Of course he did. He kept his mind on the game, the old woman said. He kept his dignity. He rose above what's mean and low. That's a good way to describe it, thought Jack. He walked toward the good, she whispered. Always keep your eyes on the good, children, and always keep your self-respect. Yes, ma'am, said Jack. Jack, whispered Annie. Look. Annie pointed at the baseball in Jack's hand. Writing was magically appearing on the white ball. The letters spelled Jackie Robinson. The twins stared at the ball in amazement. You have a ball with Jackie Robinson's autograph? Said Otis. The ball with the name, Jack said to Annie. Annie grinned and nodded. She took the ball from Jack and held it out to Granny. This belongs to you, Annie said. She placed the ball in the old woman's hands. Thank you, Granny Beck whispered. She looked at the autograph. I must be his oldest fan. Jack remembered the last 3 lines of the message from Morgan. Give the ball with the name to the one who knows best the rules of the game. You know the rules of the game, Jack said softly. Yes, I do, she said. The woman wrapped her wrinkled hands around the baseball. Then she closed her eyes again. Olive motioned to Jack and Annie. They followed her and Otis out of the hallway. Annie smiled at the twins. Your great-great-granny is, well, great. They all laughed. I'm afraid we have to leave now, said Jack. Thanks for coming over, said Olive. Wait, I have a question, said Annie. Why are we the first white people to ever visit your house? Olive shrugged. I guess you're the first ones who ever wanted to. That's so weird, said Annie. Not really, Annie, said Jack. There's a lot of racism in the 1940s. Was? Said Otis. You mean is, said Olive. Yeah, is, Jack said softly. But Jackie Robinson's starting to change things, said Otis. That's true, said Jack. Well, thank you for everything. You two really helped us today. You sure did, said Annie. And now you can tell us how to get back to the park. Easy, said Otis. He led them out the front door. Go to the corner, turn left, go about 6 blocks. Great, thanks, said Jack. Bye, said Annie. Bye, said Olive and Otis. Jack and Annie ran to the corner and turned left. In the brisk air, they walked quickly up the busy street until they came to the city park. Then they headed to the open area where they first met the twins. The big kids shooting marbles were gone. The girls playing jacks were gone. The man singing in Spanish was gone too. Jack and Annie kept walking until they came to the small grove of trees. They found the rope ladder and hurried up. Inside the treehouse, Annie grabbed their Pennsylvania book. She found the picture of the Frog Creek woods. Ready? She asked Jack. Knock it out of the park, he said. Annie laughed. She pointed at the picture and said, I wish we could go there. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster, and then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10. Home Run. Leaves rustled in the woods. Shadows danced on the floor of the treehouse. No time at all had passed in Frog Creek. We're back, said Jack with a smile. He and Annie were wearing their own clothes again. I wish Otis and Olive lived in Frog Creek, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. They really knew how to get around, said Annie. They knew all the shortcuts. Yeah, Grandpa says in his time kids did a lot by themselves, said Jack. It's different now. Unless you have a magic tree house, said Annie. Jack laughed. Can you believe we just saw Jackie Robinson play at Ebbets Field, he said. Let's look him up, said Annie. Jack reached into his backpack and pulled out the history of baseball. Funny, our whole trip we never thought to read about baseball, said Annie. That's because we were too busy living it, said Jack. He found the page about Jackie Robinson and he read aloud. Jackie Robinson was the first African American to play Major League Baseball in America. He played his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, New York on April 15, 1947. A big day for baseball, said Annie. Yup, a really big day, said Jack. He kept reading. In 1947, Robinson was voted Rookie of the Year, and in 1955, he was a World Series champion. What's Rookie of the Year? Asked Annie. The best new player, said Jack. He read on. Jackie Robinson was not just a great baseball player. He also showed heroic strength in the face of racism. I'm not concerned with your liking or disliking me, he once said. All I ask is that you respect me as a human being. His talent and courage helped inspire the civil rights movement. There's a picture of that reading the book. That's so cool, whispered Jack. He closed the book. He took a deep breath. Well, we'd better get going. We have a lot to do. We do, said Annie. Yup. Jack pulled on his backpack. Then he followed Annie down the rope ladder. A gentle breeze blew as they started walking through the woods. Sunlight streamed between the trees. You said we have a lot to do, said Annie. Like what? Like go to the ballpark and try out for the baseball team, said Jack. Seriously? You changed your mind? Said Annie. Sure, said Jack. Why not? I thought you were afraid the kids might laugh at you, said Annie. I can live with that, said Jack. You? Sure, said Annie. We just need to try our best, said Jack. And keep our self-respect, said Annie. Yeah, and if we don't make the team, we can sign up to be a bat boy or a bat girl, said Jack. Or a manager, said Annie. Or use Mom's phone to take photos of the games, said Jack. Hey, what about making videos, said Annie. Ooh, that'd be fun, said Jack. So fun, said Annie. You know, Morgan didn't send us to Brooklyn to become great baseball players, said Jack. I know, said Annie. She sent us there to learn how to be brave and keep going. Yep, the rules of the game, said Jack. They stepped out of the woods and into the sunlit street. Better hurry, said Jack. Home run, said Annie. She and Jack took off through the bright sunlight, running for home. And there they are running for home. And this says that there is a Magic Treehouse Fact Tracker that you can buy, which is another book by Mary Pope Osborne that just has facts about baseball. So that's kind of cool. And as I told you at the beginning of this week, because we read this number 29, next week we will be reading Christmas in Camelot, which I have down here somewheres. Anyway, I will have it ready to go on either Tuesday or tomorrow, which, yeah, would also be Tuesday. Have a great day, boys and girls. Be well.